I welcome you all to the Silver Jubilee initiative of Sparrow Conversations. I thank all of you for joining with us in this event to celebrate 25 years of existence of Sparrow, that's Sound and Picture Archives for Research on Women. It has been 25 years of a journey, a struggle, a joy. Today, Sparrow, that has a building of its own, started off in Dr. C.S.Lakshmi's own tiny bedroom. A library covering an entire floor full of books, audio visuals, photographs, films, and several publications to its credit, some of which are displayed at the entrance. Please do have a look at them. From a fledgling sparrow, today Sparrow is poised to fly high. It has indeed come a long way. Sparrow has now just entered the digital world. So we'll start the occasion with the release of 2 ebooks which Sparrow has published. The first one is a random harvest. In 2010, Sparrow organized an art raffle supported by many women painters. A random harvest is a random collection selected from the diary sketches, drawings, collages, and watercolors which were a part of the art raffle. The next book is Making Faces. Making Faces is a book of hand-painted film posters. In the early years of Indian cinema, as we all know, the posters were mostly hand-painted. With the advent of digital technology, hand-painted film posters has almost become extinct. Sparrow has a very good collection of such hand-painted film posters. As you can see on the screen, 2 very prominent persons have written the introductory notes. V. Jeevananthan painted some of the most interesting film posters following his father, who began his career painting film posters. Theodore Bhaskaran, the very well-known film historian, has also recalled his childhood when he remembers seeing painted posters displayed on the theatres. I now request our guest for the evening, Ms. Sudha Arora, to come on stage and release the books.
Actually, it's my pleasure that the e-books are now coming up from Sparrow, and this is the need of the time. Since long we have been reading the books, and I know that there is no alternative to books which we can read holding it in hand, but still what I feel is that the e-books are very eco-friendly and it's very convenient, and most of all, these documentation of something rare which Sparrow has done is coming on the web, and it will be easily available. It's a very remarkable possession, and I think more e-books will come further. Thank you so much, Sparrow, and we all welcome the e-books. Thank you.
With these exciting images in our mind, let us now begin a wonderful conversation between 2 writers, Ms. Sudha Arora and Dr. C.S.Lakshmi. Sudha Arora ma'am needs no introduction. She is a very well-known Hindi writer. She has written more than hundreds of books, stories, several articles, radio scripts, and also poems. Her forte is short story writing. Dr. C.S.Lakshmi is a Tamil writer. She writes in the pen name of Mumbai. She is one of the founder trustees of Sparrow and is currently the director of Sparrow. Here are a few details about Sudha Arora ma'am. Here are a few images of her childhood. The one on the right is with her parents and a younger sister, and the other one is with her younger sister. These are her own portraits. These images are with her husband before and after marriage. This is with a sweet and happy family. These are with the daughter, Garima and Gunjan. They are some of our writer friends. Here are a few achievements of Sudha Arora ma'am. These are the cover photographs of her books. These are some of the articles written by her. Sudha ji, we are all very eagerly waiting to know about your writing and your life. I invite Dr. C.S.Lakshmi and Sudha Arora to start a conversation which I am sure will take us through the journeys of many women, including their own lives.
Sudha, you told me that you prefer to talk in an intimate
Yes, true.
So that's why I'm here today.
Actually, first of all, let me tell you that I am not a very stage-friendly person, and I am more comfortable in a close group, and I am a backbencher. I am very happy there. So if I am little uncomfortable, please don't mind.
No, but we are very comfortable.
Yeah, it's all right.
And this
Yeah, it's a close group only. That's yeah, it's fine.
Sudha, you know that I've been following your writings for such a long time.
Yes.
And we have been friends for so long.
Yeah.
I want to know about your childhood and growing up, because I don't know that part of your life.
Yes. See, my childhood that way was a very happy childhood, and my parents, I'm very proud of my parents who were the first graduate. My father was the first graduate in his family, and my mother was the first graduate, and she was doing Sahitya Ratna, which was equivalent to MA in Lahore. In those times when girls were getting married at the age of 16, 17, and especially in that traditional conservative family, but my mother was quite brilliant in her studies, and she pursued her career. She was in Lahore College, which was called Vedic Putri Pathshala, and she used to write poems. Although those poems were Mahadevi Verma type, and in those years, whoever wrote the poems in Mahadevi Verma style, they were not becoming popular, because there was only one Mahadevi Verma and all of them were shadows of Mahadevi Verma. So she did not get it published, but yes, she wrote poems and she brought it with her to the Sasural, and there she kept it. And then what happens with all the women after getting married, that happened to her, and she sought out all the dreams in me. That is why I am here today.
And you were born in Lahore, right?
I was born in Lahore in 1946, pre-independence, but did not come because of partition, because my father was settled in Kolkata. Yeah, and my father was studying in Scottish Church College. So when my mother's marriage was fixed, she said very softly to her parents that I don't want to get married to a boy who is a Angrezi da, Englishized nahi chahiye, Hindi aani chahiye usko. So my father wrote a letter to his father-in-law, would-be father-in-law, and he showed it to my mother that he knows Hindi. When my mother read that letter, she really fell in love with the Hindi which my father wrote. And this was the getting together, and it was a very fairy tale marriage, and they were a very happy couple. And actually my writing got inspired by those letters only. When my mother was in Lahore, when I was I was born there. She had gone for delivery.
Yeah.
And in those period, say for 6 months, my father used to write letters to her, and those letters were very rich Hindi and so poetical. Still, he is looking after those letters, and it's still in his cupboard.
It's there?
Yeah, my father has got, yes.
I hope
He's 94-year-old. Yeah. So those were the real literature which I first read.
That kind of inspired you to
Yes.
do your post-graduation in Hindi, isn't it? You did in Hindi, your MA.
Yes, I did MA in Hindi, although I didn't want to do MA in Hindi because I had already done honors, BA honors in Hindi. I got myself enrolled in psychology, doing in MA. But somehow the head of the Hindi department, Professor Kalyan Malloda, he wanted a brilliant girl in his department, so he said that you will get the scholarship only if you do MA in Hindi. So I switched to Hindi for getting the scholarship, which was not the real fact. If I had done in psychology also, I would have got the scholarship.
But it
But
just
this was
kind
that.
of brought you to...
Brought me to again to Hindi.
So when you wrote initially, you told me once that you wrote poems, right? In college
Yeah.
magazines and
In school time.
school. So that you initially wrote, you said that in your college magazine or school magazine?
No, school magazine. When I was in class 9th, I wrote some poems, and that got published in my school magazine. It was a famous school, Sri Shikshayatan, and in 1962, those poems were published. Unfortunately, I don't have copies of those poems.
And what were they about those poems?
Sorry.
What was the subject of those
It
poems?
was, subject was nature and love. That I remember.
Love in the sense of romance.
Yes, and that's a very strange thing that when I did not know anything about love,
You wrote about
I wrote about love. And when I came to know about love, I stopped writing about love, and it was, the love came with lot of pain, and which is the side effects of love. So I wrote only love poems when the love was not there. It was imaginary, fantasy. So I think the love still remains in fantasy only most of the times.
You also acted in a Mohan Rakesh play. You acted in
Yeah, that was after my marriage.
Bahut Bada Sawal.
बहुत बड़ा सवाल, and that was the first stage version of Mohan Rakesh's play. His first play was बहुत बड़ा सवाल, and that was in 1972. In IIT we staged it, and myself and my husband, both of us, and lot others also. It had a big crew of actors, around 10. And it was a hit play. Yeah.
Your husband was also a writer,
Yeah, he is a writer.
but he is an engineer, right?
No, he's an engineer plus a writer. That's how we got married.
And what was his name?
His name is Jitendra Bhatia, and he's a quite well-known writer in Hindi also. And but his and my field is absolutely different. He writes mostly science fiction.
Yeah.
And stories. He has written in more, plays, but no poems. He is a prose writer basically, and lots of articles on technology, globalization. So
So that there was 12 years break in your writing career. After marriage, you didn't write for 12 years.
yes,
Can you
yes.
tell us about those years?
See, first you should ask that when I was writing, I started writing in 1964.
Yeah.
62, that was school poems. I don't talk about that, but in 64, I wrote a short story, and it got published in Sarika in 66.
Okay.
It was accepted for publication, but before that I wrote some 4 or 5 stories and they got published before the first story. So people know me by my first story, which was Mari Hui Cheese in Gyanoday.
Okay.
I was 19-year-old then, and in Sarika and Dharmyug, which were the topmost magazines of that time. So there, once you get published in Sarika and Dharmyug, you are a known person in Hindi. So that was when I was not even 20. So it was like I was a full-fledged writer before my marriage.
Okay.
And that's how we got introduced to each other.
How much had you written before your marriage, apart from these stories?
I had written around 20-25 stories before my marriage.
Okay.
Yeah. And my husband started writing a bit late. He started writing in 1968,
Achha.
after 3 years, say.
Yeah, yeah.
3-4 years. So we got in touch through letters, and through letters only we decided to get married. We had not seen each other.
Okay.
So after I got married, I think all the women, the life changes drastically after marriage, and especially the kind of marriage I went into. It was a very traditional type of marriage, very impractical. Like, see, we got married with all the paraphernalia of the usual traditional Punjabi marriage,
Okay.
and nobody in our family knew that it was a love marriage. They thought it is a arranged marriage because both of us were Punjabis, both of us were migrated from Lahore, both of us had seen partition, and families were similar, so many similar things, and the Bhatiyas also had lived in Calcutta. So there were so many similar things that nobody even guessed that it was a love marriage. And for say 20-25 years they did not know that it was a love marriage. So after marriage, as I said, it was very impractical. My father spent a lot of money on the marriage paraphernalia, and after we went to stay in IIT, we did not have a house to live in, and we got married. इतना सब तामझाम के साथ शादी हुई, और जब आए तो एक कमरा था, उसका ताला खोला तो अंदर जाले लटक रहे थे. First thing I kept in my hand was left my pen aside and kept broom लिया और जाले साफ किए. तो the life has totally changed, but still my writing had lowered down and less writing was there. I wrote 1 or 2 stories in a year, then got pregnant also immediately. So within a year my daughter was born. I had to go to Calcutta. I had to leave her there as there was no house in Bombay. And I remember we had a second-hand scooter, and we used to go everywhere from IIT to Vikhroli, Ghatkopar. We used to say cinema in Shreyas. So I used to see कि इतने घर हैं, इतने मकान हैं, इतने टावर्स हैं, और हमारे लिए एक कमरा भी नहीं है. मतलब that time we thought there is no money in our hand, and what the hell we spent so much on the marriage. So it was all like a dream come shattered. And then my father realized his mistake, and in 1975, after 4 years of my marriage and after shunting a lot between Calcutta and Bombay, 2 months, 3 months in Calcutta, 6 months in Bombay, after that, then he got a house for me in Warsaw, Seacrest, where we lived, and after 75 the life started in a systematic manner. But writing wise, I wrote 1 or 2 stories. I was not happy with what I was doing writing wise, but the life goes on, and there were so many responsibilities The child was young. And
two children.
yeah, two children,
daughters.
two daughters.
So that in an interview earlier, you have said that you always write in anger and never in love, and you never write what you want. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, see, actually, I write in anger, yes. Whatever disturbs me, that is right from the beginning till today. I wrote in anger, I still write in anger. See, recently there was an incident of Sunanda Pushkar.
Yeah.
And I am so disturbed for the day she was no more. Either it was suicide or murder or whatever. But I am so disturbed that till I write on her a piece, whether a poem or an article, I cannot do any other work. Same thing happened when Delhi gang rape was
Nirbhaya case. Yeah.
Nirbhaya case. So on 16th December, this Nirbhaya case was happening, and 16th December was my mother's death anniversary. So as it is every 16th December, I am very low that day since morning, and this news came in. From 16th December to 29th, when she died, 29th night, I just could not do anything. In me, something was boiling. And then came a proposal that please write an article and send it to us, write within a day and send it to the newspaper. Now, how can you write an article with such disturbed mind? You cannot, just cannot. So, whatever I had with myself for notes for writing the article, I converted it into a poem. दामिनी तुम में पूरे इतिहास को जिंदा होना है.
Called Nirbhaya Damini in that.
Yeah, Damini, because two names were going on, Damini and Nirbhaya. So that time Damini I wrote, and that poem got so popular, and I think what I had written in the poem could not be written in an article, because the poems are so intense. And you are so moved, you cannot get moved by an article, but you get moved by poem which has lesser words, but they are very intense, and they somewhere they hurt you, they pinch you, they tell you that think about it, what is happening. So I have something here that I can't stay quiet when something happens, and my friends keep saying, especially, you know, Aruna Burte.
Yeah.
She becomes so worried whenever something happens. She says, "Bas Sudha ka to ho gaya." Now, अभी वो क्या करेगी? तो she keeps telling me, relax, relax. ये सब होता रहता है. You should not get so involved in these public tragedies that you lose your peace of mind and get into this.